Hi, Tom. How are you?
It's a great day. Thank you, Matt.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, my friend. Let me take these off real quick. I am truly honored to speak with you, my friend.
Likewise.
Um, well, for our listeners here, again, my podcast is new, so I have very small listeners, but I do believe that as it grows, there's going to be people going back to these earlier episodes to hear what Tom has to say. I'm excited about this for a couple of big reasons. Number one, I got Tom's name through Alex Sakaris. Okay. And Alex Sakaris is, in my humble opinion, if not the greatest, one of the greatest researchers to ever walk this planet. I tell him that his research, in my humble opinion, is no less than that of Lewis and Clark. Okay. And the big push that I have is the research that you're doing, Tom, and the research that Alex does. In my humble opinion, I believe is more important than algebra. Okay. I have some when I first wrote the facts, it was out of frustration that how can this world seem so complicated? It's not that complicated. What it is it seems like we're zeroing in on the wrong thing first. Let's understand how it works first, and then we'll fill in the dots. So I really went to write the facts to explain to a 15-year-old how this thing works, this consciousness thing, and this gig. Okay. And so bringing you on, it's of the same mindset. I've got an audience of two for this podcast, and that's my 17-year-old kid. And I want them to be able to understand what you're talking about because I believe what you have to say is more important than algebra right now. Okay. I believe it impacts their lives to understand what you're saying.
Thank
And
you.
so, therefore, I'm tickled pink and I'm going to give you the stage. And I've got some other questions in a general philosophical sense. But what I'd really like to get from this is for me and my kids and anybody else that watches this podcast to understand the research that you're doing because I'm with you. It's time to make a difference.
Yes.
Time to take this knowledge and make a difference. And that could start with my two kids, my friend.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All
What
right.
a what an incredible introduction. Hopefully, I can live up to that. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine, my friend. Thank you.
All right. Let me set the tone. We'll set the foundation for the audience. I'm a researcher. I work with energy, scalar energy, what some people might call Tesla energy or zero point energy. I do not work with electricity. I work with the other spectrum of energy or a different dimension. Now, why is that important? Well, electricity has benefits, but scalar energy, in my estimation, far outweighs the benefits of electromagnetic energy. So to define my terms, scalar energy is not electricity. Scalar energy originates from the sun and the stars. It's the free energy of the universe. I'm working with the energy of the sun and the stars. I don't manufacture this energy, I capture this energy. So that's very important. So what am I getting at? Scalar energy is the free energy, the clean energy that could end the energy crisis. If we can tap into the scalar energy of the sun and the stars, that will end the energy crisis. And I stand by that statement. That's not a flippant remark of mine. Now, why would I say something like that? Because Nikola Tesla, the great scientist Nikola Tesla, had scalar energy instruments. And he, if you will, demonstrated many times the application of scalar energy as a free source of energy. It's been done before, is what I'm getting at. So this is Tesla energy. This is Tesla technology. We capture this energy of the sun and the stars when we can harness it and then use it to power a motor or use it to destroy a microbe. It performs benefits. It has a work function. It has many work functions. It has many benefits that can be derived from this new emerging science. So hold on to your hats. You're going to see the future of mankind change significantly as to the implications of scalar energy and then ultimately its incorporation.
Yeah, I understand. Now, in terms of uh, furthering their understanding of it, how do they take the next step to to better understand what it is you're describing more to get to the illustration part.
Okay, all right. Well, you could look at the work of Nikola Tesla, the great scientist, and later in his life, you could read about his work with free energy. And there's many
Right.
examples of what
Can I
he's.
stop you right there? Will you explain a little further what distinguishes Tesla in your eyes from
Sure.
some of the other researchers?
Tesla began his career with AC electricity. He's a father of AC electricity. Later in his life, Tesla abandoned electricity and worked almost exclusively with scalar energy. So Tesla gave us AC electricity. Later in his life, he discovered free energy, what he would call uh, radiant energy. He used that term frequently. Now, why is that important? Because electricity and the infrastructure to carry an electrical current is expensive. Scalar energy does not need an infrastructure. The universe is the infrastructure. You can deliver scalar energy by wireless transmission. And again, it's free energy from the sun and the stars. So why would I highlight the work of Nikola Tesla? He's one of the few scientists who's ever created a scalar energy instrument. He's one of the few successful scientists to harness scalar energy. Very few scientists have ever accomplished this.
Why do you think that? Do you believe it was swept by the wayside, or that this okay?
It's suppressed. The word I use is suppression.
Suppressed, right? So in other words, they know it's good for humanity, thus they're going to suppress it for one reason or another.
Yes.
Why do you believe they're suppressing it?
It's free energy, plain and simple.
Got it. Yep. Matt, okay.
This is free. Tesla developed a technique to capture sun energy, star energy. So if he's successful, and he was, then that eliminates power companies, that eliminates coal mines, that eliminates gas exploration. That eliminates so much of the military-industrial complex that is in place today. Free energy changes the world. It changes the landscape of the world.
No question about it. And I see irony at times because I know of people whose first and foremost concern appears to be the planet, the condition of the planet, the fossil fuels, all that stuff. And these are the same people that turn a blind eye to what we might know about anti-gravity or some of the other, in other words, they're dead set against fossil fuels, yet they've turned a blind eye to what could replace those fossil fuels rather quickly. Okay, right. So now in your journey, in your push here, okay, because I've been to your website, it's spectacular. Do you want to explain a little further? When somebody hears this, you want them to go to the site, and what can they do there to understand better?
Correct. Thank you. As you mentioned, the website. Right now, I'm trying to introduce scalar energy through quantum healing. I have not developed instruments that can power a home. That's down the line. But what can I do immediately? I can improve.
I'm going to stop you there one more time, okay? Yes. Because now we're understanding what scalar energy means. You're saying it's a type of spiritual energy. It's not your typical physical energy,
right?
Like your current. Okay. And then you said, shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh, quantum.
Yes.
Quantum. Explain what you mean by that.
Those terms still beg a definition today. Quantum energy. Let's consider that non-physical energy. It's not. It's consciousness. Or it's the new quantum mechanics. It's not electromagnetic. So if we use this term quantum energy, sometimes that's synonymous with the term scalar energy. Again, this is a new science. It begs a definition. So let's just say quantum energy and scalar energy are synonymous terms.
Okay. Yeah, all right. And that's important. That's important because part of my push is the narrative. Is the fact that we're forming our perceptions of reality based on the narrative. So you need to define these terms. You need to coin them so that we can proceed with the narrative. And again, I think an important push. I have this premise that says when we disagree, we get in a cyclical thing. Okay, because we're not in the same narrative. We're not surrounding something that we agreed with to begin with. And so I believe that there's a case to be made that says we got to start somewhere. Okay. And so, like in my humble opinion, when it comes to energy, we start where you're at and work back from there. You know what I mean? What is
Yeah.
the nuts and bolts of the energy situation? Okay, let's start with that. And in doing that, we have to coin your phrases and start using them like they're obvious. Like, come on, you know what scalar energy is? Where you been? Right. That type is where I come in because I'm the rhetoric, the. In other words, I want to push the narrative. I'm with you. I want to get in. I want to fight the fight for this stuff. Saying I'm
Yes, sir.
sick of the proving phase. These guys have proven it, and I'm going to listen to them. And by golly, if I have my way, the whole next generation will be listening to them as well. On
Okay,
my
thank
goal.
you.
Does that make
Okay.
sense? So I
Yeah,
believe, yeah,
it
you're
does.
at the heart of the energy conversation. Starts with you,
Yes,
and
sir.
from there we back out and go, all right, why are we using fossil fuels when we could start here? That type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Good
That makes
point.
sense.
Yeah, point taken. Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So again, we'll define scalar energy as the energy of the sun and the stars. It's free energy. It's not electricity. Some people use the term quantum energy in a synonymous sense with that of
Okay.
scalar energy. So immediately, what am I trying to do? How can I prove to the world that there's merit behind scalar energy, scalar light? How can I prove, how can I demonstrate that it's real and that it will perform some type of benefit? I'm all about performance benefits. As a scientist, as a researcher, I've spent my life looking for benefits, for performance. If this energy can command nature, and I say it can, then by commanding nature, what can we do to improve our welfare? How can we benefit from scalar energy? So, pursuant to that goal of showing performance and showing benefits to mankind, I've perfected scalar energy instruments to the point that I can manipulate molecular matter. I can break down, negate a molecular bond. Now, why would I want to break down a molecule? If you have a pathogen, a microbe such as a virus or a bacterium or fungus, and if this instrument can break down the molecular bond of a germ, a pathogen, well, that serves to improve your health or the health of an animal. And this is one of the functions that I've realized with this instrument. I can easily break down microorganisms, microbes. Now, if you can break down a microbe, then you're no longer infected with a microbe. Well, what does that mean to mankind? It's the easy way to break apart, to transmute a microbe. You don't need a drug, you don't need surgery. It's simply an administration of light that will break down the molecular bonds of a microorganism. That's one of the benefits. And my website is devoted in part to that advancement, to that discovery of mine and my predecessor, Dr. Hieronymus.
With the domain on your website, I've got it in front of me, but let's say it again.
Sure.
It's right.
Scalar, yeah, sure. Scalarlight.com. If the audience visits the website, anybody will be able to read about my work, obviously, and you can take us up on our 15-day experience. Anybody in the world can receive 15 days of free scalar energy sessions. But before I go any further, I want to describe what that means. When I work with scalar energy, it's non-local. The energy is everywhere, meaning it's not bound to one particular point in space. So when I work with this energy that's everywhere, scalar energy is an infinite energy. I work with people's photographs. I'm going to hold up my photograph. People will email me a photograph, and I actually print out a photograph and place it inside an instrument. Now, what does that mean? Well, if a cell phone can deliver a signal, your voice, my voice is modulated by way of a cell phone, then we can deliver a signal of a person through their photograph. So follow my course of action step by step.
I am. I love it.
People will email their photograph to me. I will place their photograph inside a scalar energy instrument. I don't work with people, I work with their force field or their scalar energy signature. In other words, people bilocate to my laboratory. People don't come to my laboratory in the flesh. People bilocate by way of their photograph. And since we have an energy connection on their photograph, or at least we can identify what microbe they're infected with, I can send energy into the photograph through this force field, this scalar energy force field. I can identify, say, the herpes virus, and negate the molecular bonds of the herpes virus through the scalar energy force field. Why? Because everybody can be represented through their photograph. A photograph is a source of light. So what am I saying? I can be in two places at once. I could be here in my office, and I could also be in a scalar energy laboratory by way of a photograph. This is by location. This is the norm in a scalar energy environment. Everything multi-locates. You're not bound by space and time. So this is an easy way for me to work with photographs of people around the world to identify what pathogen, what microorganism they are infected with, to send energy into their quantum field, not into their physical body, into their scalar energy force field or their quantum field, and to transmute, to break down the molecular bonds of that microbe.
That was so eloquently presented. I understood every word of it, and it is completely intriguing. Now,
It is. Yes,
it's
it
a
is.
little different for me because I spend my time ruminating about consciousness. I understand that energy, and I understand how real that is and how real the supernatural is, and how what you're talking about, the quantums and the photons, and how that process you just described, in my humble opinion, is where we start. Okay, let's disprove what Tom has to say,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
push it to the forefront. And that's, again, if you look at my goal here with the facts, I'm a researcher, but I'm not a very good researcher. I just pull low hanging fruit, and I try to take what you're saying, simplify it, prioritize it, and pass it on. Saying, when we're going to talk about the energy of this world, I'm not going to have a conversation about fossil fuels or anything until we understand clearly the different energy options that appear to be at our disposal. Let's start there. Now, okay, and that's why I love your website. It's similar to a degree to mine, that you have a picture of the globe below, Tom, because
Yes.
you're right. With this wisdom, what good is it if we can't make a difference with it?
Right. That's
Right,
the entire point of my career. I'm
right.
not
So,
trying to hide my work. I want to be very open about this.
right. And so we need to plow through the narrative with your work. Okay. You get where, and I'm not sure how much time you've looked over my shoulder, but I'm a rhetoric guy. I'm a guy that's saying, listen, these things can be written using words described accurately to where my sons can understand what Tom's saying, and we can, instead of an indoctrination, say through the Catholics or whatever it might be, it's an indoctrination about what the physicists of this world have figured out.
Yeah,
This
you're
is
right.
the way you're navigating this. So I put your information first, and I call these things the top 10 facts, where I'm trying to give people what I think are the nuts and bolts of what they need to know. Now, you can always disagree, and we want disagreement with Tom's theory. Absolutely, poke holes in it, but at least go to his site, try the
Right.
15 days, become educated.
Yes.
Now let's start beating on Tom and see if we can beat up his theory. That type of thing, right?
That's fine by me. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. You
But
want to bring
I
on?
will caution
Yeah,
if you either agree or disagree with my posture, you have to only look at it through the prism of scalar energy and scalar energy theory. Keep in mind, this is not electromagnetic theory. So the apple and the orange can only be used to compare and contrast. If the apple is scalar energy and the orange is electromagnetic energy, you cannot use electromagnetic theory to prove or disprove scalar energy theory. So these are two separate sciences. They're two branches of science.
right.
So
And if anybody's being honest, that's
yes,
obvious. They understand that you're distinguishing between those two. You were saying this has nothing to do with our physical world. This comes
exactly.
from deep inside our universe. It's the
Yes,
energy by which our universe is. Some call it a
exactly.
fabric of love, what be it. But the part I love the most, Tom Reese, and you, is it was when you talk about scalar energy being synonymous with intelligence.
Yes.
Okay. So again, there's a lot of different phrases we're using. At some point, we want to coin them and stick on the same phrase. But the bottom line is this: is without question, there's a spiritual energy, scalar energy, and there's a physical energy. We got our magnetics. We're used to all that stuff. But what you're talking about is a magical energy. It's synonymous with intelligence and love and creation
Yes,
and
it
all
is.
that energy is what
Yes.
you're saying you can tap into.
Yes.
Yeah, it's real, dude. I'm more sold than you are on the concept, just because it's common sense to me. Of course, of course. Now, if you take it into the UFO world and some of the things we're witnessing in terms of antimatter, anti-gravity, come on, man, let's just get to the bottom of this shit. All right, why do they not want it? Okay, we get it. Obviously, there's an industrial complex that has no desire for these things to become. So I'm with you on that, my friend. But one thing I can promise you is I'm here to fight your fight. Okay. I'm taking
Okay.
your wisdom to the market and I become your warrior. Does that work?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
No,
Thank
my
you. It's
pleasure.
an uphill battle, but frankly, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy the challenge. And when at least people, if they're open-minded, then I'll present my work. And then I want people to judge for themselves. I don't want anybody to give me a knee-jerk response. Look at what I've done. Look at the website. Read. We have thousands of testimonies. We have thousands of diagnostic tests that speak to the efficacy of scalar healing, or what we call sometimes quantum healing. And from there, I'll let people judge my work.
Yes, and that's perfect because that's what we're after is cognitive thought. We're not in the indoctrination business. We're separating dogma. We simply want you to think for yourself. But to think for yourself, that means you need to take a step, an important step, and that's first consider Tom's work. If we can get you to do that, now you're in the conversation. And if you disagree, have at it.
Yeah.
All I know is I want to push the agenda with an authoritative certainty because we're fighting for a narrative. And if I can't stand up for it, again, I don't know enough about what you're doing, but the part I can stand up for is it needs to be considered, and it needs to be considered at the forefront.
Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful. And so, well, and again, part of my premise is I get myself in trouble because I start fighting too early. Like you want to fight the fight with this. You get it. Hey, it's one thing if we educate everything, but if nothing comes of it, what was the point, right?
Yeah.
And so I get into the fight too early. Start saying, hey, you're ignorant. You need to pay attention to this shit because your ignorance is a danger to my liberties. And you can't do that too early. You got to go, you got to coax them in. But now, once they've been to your site and they understand that, okay, there is a case to be made. I think that we have to elevate ourselves above the ignorance. You can't keep fighting the same fight with whether or not this stuff is real with the people who are going to disagree with you with
Right.
ulterior motives.
Yeah.
At some
Exactly.
point, we need to elevate and say, okay, we're done fighting that fight. Now, the rest of us who understand this, we're going to move forward with this agenda
Yeah.
and this
Well,
narrative.
I'm going to give your audience, for instance, you're looking at a photograph of a group of people in Delhi, India, an HIV/AIDS clinic. Now, we're working with this HIV/AIDS clinic, people from this clinic in Delhi, India. It's called Om Prakash. And people from this HIV/AIDS clinic email us, send us photographs. And again, we treat the photograph
I
of people.
freaking love it. Yeah,
We
it's the
don't work with
greatest.
people. It's non-local, it's energy healing through the photograph. It's not biological, it's non-physical action on a photograph because the photograph carries the intelligence.
I agree.
Okay,
Go ahead.
let me complete.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'm
we
sorry.
work with 5,000 people. This is a clinical study. We work with 5,000 people at Om Prakash. Everybody who once had a viral load, a detectable viral load, after the scalar energy sessions, if they have a follow-up PCR test, there's no viral load. I'm going to repeat that. We've worked with 5,000 people who were HIV positive. After the scalar energy sessions, through the photograph, nobody has a viral load. Nobody. Everybody tells us that they feel better. I'll let the audience come to their conclusion.
I absolutely love it. The audience can come to their own conclusion, but I'm going to come to mine. Okay. And I love it. It doesn't surprise me that you're having success. I'm a believer of obviously the power of our own consciousness. Let me ask you this
Right.
question. What what degree do you believe the placebo effect plays into it? If I send you my image, because that's also a beneficial thing, the
Yes.
energy through my image, if my mind reap that value as well,
Yes.
that's a plus too, because it means that I understand, at least I understand that aspect of it, the power of thought.
Yeah.
So for somebody to partake in what you're saying, the understanding part seems to be the most essential. That says, I get what he's up to. And now I see that, why that will work. And I'm going to realize those benefits. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The placebo
Yes.
part?
The placebo part is very real, and it's part of the healing, and it's part of the process, because people have to, I would say, agree, or at least subconsciously or unconsciously, perhaps they have to agree to the healing, or they have to agree to this energy. So what am I getting at? If this is the universal energy, of course everybody has to interact with this energy. So that in and of itself is an indirect placebo effect. It might not be a cognitive process, but yes, is the placebo effect pertinent? Of course, it's consciousness, it's intelligence. The
Absolutely.
placebo effect is consciousness. It is the intelligence of the universe. Now, it just depends on how accentuated the placebo effect is. And does that placebo effect also include the manipulation of molecular bond of the HIV? Does the placebo effect break down the molecular
Oh,
bond of a virus? I don't know. That's another discussion in and of
right,
itself.
right. It maybe has the power to do so, but there's something beyond that.
Yeah.
You're suggesting that
Yes.
the results that you're seeing
Yes.
cannot be just placebo.
Yes. You're right.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing stuff,
let,
dude.
let
That's
me let
amazing.
me put
Yeah,
I'm going to put a number
yeah.
to it.
All right, this
5,000 people have been treated by way of a photograph. 5,000.
is
So this
amazing.
is much. This is not a statistical anomaly. This is beyond the realm of probability of being an accident. And out of those 5,000 people, everybody feels better, and nobody has a viral load for HIV. Now, I could understand if there's only 5 or 10 people, but 5,000 people, that's beyond question.
That's called
Something's going
corroborated.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's corroboration, complete 100% proven corroboration.
Sure.
And there's something going on, and that is,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
it's
So,
it's
so
real.
you got opposition. You're going to have opposition to truth
Yeah.
in a
Well,
nutshell.
let's cut to the chase. If what I'm saying is true and accurate, this is a new beginning for mankind. It's a new way of looking at life. This technology is not only going to be used to eradicate microbes, eventually it'll be used for free energy. Our cars will be powered by scalar energy. We won't have to pay $5 a gallon for gas. It's just, it will impact every aspect of society. Scalar energy will change the course of history. Mark my word, this technology will change history for the better.
I absolutely love it. I could not agree more. Not only the energy aspect of it, but the change in the mindset of a human being to understand what you're saying. That's the big difference maker, I think, is to get to you and to be understand the way you see the world, and just to understand this energy. Not only will the energy change the world once we have access and we start using what you're describing, but the path to understand what you're saying is going to change a human being's perception too. Consciousness will come to the forefront. They'll start understanding more about the topics that you and Alex are driving home every day. And to the side will be girlfriends and arithmetic and these things. We'll get this stuff straightened out first.
Yeah,
So I
you're
think,
right.
yes. So obviously I'm a big fan. I mean, I'm totally, thank you for taking the time to do this. I will push your narrative and your agenda
Thank you.
because it's accurate, because
It
I think
is.
it's a starting place.
Thank
And
you.
if we can prove you wrong, prove you wrong. But until then, let's listen to what the man has to say. Let's go down the path and see where it takes us.
Thank you. To add to that, this is science. Science is governed by immutable laws. This is not my opinion. If I'm working within those boundaries of science, I am, then you cannot fool energy. Energy does not lie. You cannot deceive energy. So my results are achieved with energy instruments, and those instruments perform scientific functions. So there's no room for human reasoning, no room for human ingenuity, or no room for human chicanery.
No,
Everything
no.
this is a scientific process from start to finish. So if we follow the laws of science, then we'll understand what I'm able to accomplish.
Yes, yes, couldn't agree more. And my role in this, as we're ending here, is uh I want to defend that. I want to simplify it. I want to move it to the forefront. So I'm going to go out and see if I can't get people and walk them down this path, because the more people we can get to look over your shoulder. Again, if I have my goal, you're done defending your research
I
like
hope
you've
so.
just done here. Yes, I want the defending of the research to be done. I want the onus to be moved to the critics about your research, that type of thing. That's the role I want to play.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I need your help. You're a
I'm
good
here
guy,
for you,
man.
my friend. Tom, thank you very much.
One more thing, if I
Yeah, go
may.
ahead.
Scalarlight.com. Anybody in the world can upload their photograph for 15 days of free session. Scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. Upload your pets with your family's permission. You can send in their photographs too. We'll prove to you, I'm all about performance. We'll prove to you that this works.
I love it. I love it. You have zero reason. Anybody that hears the sound of my voice has zero reason not to try this 15-day deal. Why wouldn't I? I'm going to do it as soon as I hang up. I can't wait to learn more. Tom, thank you.
You're
I
a gentleman.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.